Okay, this is part 2 then. Um, as I said in part 1, I summed up where my parents came from and why I think that I uh, turned out to be me, and how that as a kid I wished that I had been living in the time of World War II, because I was so sure I would have been able to be in the Resistens. Actually, it's not a fun place to be living in, I get that. Now I do, I didn't then. But as I grew older, my aunts and uncles and others told me about what they did and how life was. The first time I really heard about stuff that wasn't so good was when I got my knife mark at the Scouts, because there was a special knife waiting for me, and when I got it I looked at it, and I noticed there were some dark marks on the handle, and my mama told me that these marks, these spots, are there because they can't be removed, and it's blood. I later then figured out that the knife had belonged to one of my uncles, who had used it for self-defense in 43, I think it was. But never mind, they never spoke about it. She only handed it to me and told me to treasure it very dearly, and I did. I didn't get the whole idea about what happened back then, but I do now. But going back to the point, what would my parents think about what happened the last 5 years, 8 years? I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't have wanted me to experience what I'm experiencing happening around me now. Because what my father predicted, that EU would not continue to be good for us, has suddenly, obviously, come to pass. I don't need to mention Merkel, I don't need to mention all the stuff that is happening, because we all know it. Or do I? My father always told me that if you're at war, there are some things that you need to know. And first of all, first lesson is know your enemy. And not knowing your enemy like, oh, this is the guy from the next door, or stuff like that. No, call him by name. Back then, their enemies were called Nazis and fascism. And today, my enemy is Islam. And I'm not scared to say it, because my father told me, know your enemy, call them by name. That's one of the first lessons that he told me ever about war. Because if you speak out your enemy's name, then you already gained power over him. That's a good thing. That gives me some security. Doesn't mean that I'm not afraid, but it's a lot more easy to face an enemy when you know who the enemy is that you're facing. But many people are scared of calling them out, calling them what they are, and that's the whole problem. And it really is a problem. Out, it's still mosquitoes even here. Well, anyways, I call them, and I'm not afraid to call them. I know that people before me have called out their enemies and died for it, and I'm ready to do the same. Because if we all keep silent, then there will be no one left to tell the truth. And the truth is that Europe is under attack. Another very sad truth is that so is America. Some Americans sees it and some don't. Some believe that the best thing in the world is that in November this year you will have the first female president. If that's why you're voting, then please don't go there. Please don't go there. Don't even register to vote. Because if that's your choice that it's a woman, then you really, really need to start studying and figure out why you got the right to vote. And, well, uh, in Denmark, and I guess in most of Europe, we are being fed with the lies that uh, Trump is the bad one and Hillary is the best one. And, well, those who don't Google around, those who don't do a little study, they believe it. But I don't. I know exactly what happened in Benghazi, and I know exactly what's behind Obama's healthcare and now his food care. And you know what? That's an attack upon the American people. So is the right for your Second Amendment. We haven't had the right to bear guns or any kind of shooting or any weapons at all in Denmark since I think it was 1864. And it hasn't been necessary except for in the World Wars. And then people knew how to get it to defend themselves. Um, but look what's happening around the world where you loses your real right to bear arms. The Danes have a saying, "Oh, we got the right to bear arms and legs." Well, it's not funny. I would pretty much prefer to also have the rest of my body. But again, the Danes makes jokes about it and forget their heritage from the Vikings. They would never have stood for this. Um, and I called out my enemy, and I know that in the end, it might be the only thing I can do. But at least I did it. Do you dare to do it? My other enemy is liberals who don't want to hear the truth, who don't believe that the world is evil place and we need to fix it. They are also a really, really big enemy. They are the ones who don't get it when a priest is murdered during mass. Another priest invites in one of those poor refugees and gets stabbed. They're the ones who don't get that 10% of all Muslims are the dangerous ones. The rest are the nice, quiet, next door neighbors. But 10% out of how many millions? Just do your math. Since November last year, Europe has been flooded. Denmark has gotten in around 10,000, I think. So 10% is 1,000. And they started showing their bad behavior. This weekend there was a festival. It's actually a family festival with music and joy, and people have always called it the beautiful festival because it's for family and it's fun and music. And over that weekend there was 9 attacks. So the rape game has moved across the border from Germany to Denmark. And then again people say, oh no, don't draw any conclusion. Don't do that because you can't say it. Oh really? They came from a place, a refugee center that's been under investigation by all for the last 4 months. It's supposed to be kids there, just kids. And they can't even control when they're there or when they're not there. The people who has spoken freely about it has been laid off and told to shut up. But again, I can call them out. I did that. And As I was talking with a dear friend of mine earlier tonight before I went out, you know what? I'm going to spend my money in this war. However, I can do it. I don't have many, but any cash I have will go in this war because I can't take it with me. And you know what? As things look now, I don't know when or where it will be my last breath. The game is on, and I'm a player, and I'm ready to play. Um, and I'm calling out my enemies, and I'm not afraid. Are you afraid? Then start educating yourself. Stop believing. There is another great lesson to be learned about this enemy. Once you call them by name, you need to know the tricks. And the trick that they do most of all is a blame game. They draw another card, it's called the racism card, which is ridiculous, as that's not a race. Then they call it a religious problem, and again it's ridiculous. It's not a religion. And then they pull up lots of other stories, how they also love Jesus and they are having the same God as we have here in Europe. No, we don't. You don't believe in Jesus. Uh, and just to sum it up before I get eaten again, let me tell you one thing that totally makes the difference between your prophet in Islam and the prophet Jesus. Muhammad was once asked, so where are you going? And Muhammad said, I don't know. But where do you come from? I don't know. Where are you going to? I don't know. And Jesus was asked the same. And he said, well, I came from the Father, and I'm going back to him to prepare for you a place. So noticed the difference? Muhammad didn't know where he came from and where he was going. But Jesus as a prophet and as the Messiah, sorry if I'm offending any Jews now, but he at least said that he came from God the Father, and he came to fulfill everything on earth according to laws, and then he would go back to the Father, and will then later return on earth. So you see the difference? I don't know where I'm from and where I'm going, and I have to say, well, can you hear how fake it is? Can you hear it? Because I can. Ah well, the sun has almost set, and guess it's time for me to go home before I get eaten up. Maybe I will do a part 3 of this, I don't know, but this was part 2 at least for now.